Hello, I'm David Roger, General Counsel for Las Vegas Police Protective Association. I'd like to talk to you about criminal IAB and an incident that occurred here just recently. An officer was with his young son who was in a child seat in the back of the vehicle, and he was driving his son to his father's house for Easter brunch. An individual started tailgating the officer and aggressively driving behind the officer and pulling in front of him. The officer, in an attempt to get the vehicle registration, the temporary registration information, drove behind the individual, got on his cell phone and called dispatch to call in the aggressive driver. The aggressive driver turned around, saw that the officer was on the phone, and fired a round into the officer's windshield. Fortunately, the round did not penetrate through the windshield, and the officer and the child were safe. PD detectives arrived and started their investigation. Fortunately, this officer had the wherewithal to contact PPA's 24-hour hotline, and the representative told the officer to beware of criminal IAB. And sure enough, within a short period of time, criminal IAB showed up. They didn't introduce themselves according to the officer and asked for consent to search the vehicle for the bullet. However, no bullets penetrated the actual vehicle. The officer contacted PPA once again. He refused to give consent to search. In the end, it turns out that criminal IAB was investigating the officer in part to determine whether the officer was driving aggressively himself or whether he had a weapon in the car. Had criminal IAB introduced themselves and explained the circumstances and explained to the officer that they wanted to make sure that the officer didn't have a gun in the car, or to corroborate his statement that he didn't have a gun in the car, so that when they caught the individual could not claim that the officer was shooting at him. But they didn't. And so the point of this is to remind you to make sure that you know who you're talking to. And how about this? First, call timeout. Call PPA's 24-hour hotline and speak with a representative so that they can advise you on what the appropriate course of action. And if you contact me, I'm going to tell you not to talk to anybody until we figure out what's going on. It's unfortunate that an officer and a young child who are victims are treated more like suspects, but that was how the officer felt. So when a number of detectives start to approach you about an incident, time out. Call PPA's 24-hour hotline and we will provide you representation. Thank you very much, and of course, stay safe out there and stay legally safe.